Hey guys, it's Cody with Taking 20 and welcome back to my Roll20 Master Series. Today's video is going to be on rollable tables. What are they? How do you set them up? And most importantly, why should you use them in your game? Let's get started. Okay, so let's show you guys what rollable tables actually are, and then we'll get into how to use them, all that jazz. So if you're Dungeon Master, up here at the top, you will see this little section close to the settings labeled Decks and Tables. So if you click on that, you'll notice at the very top is a section that you can create different types of card decks, and then underneath of that, you have a rollable tables section. This is what we're looking for. So when you create a new table, you just hit this add button and it'll have a new blank table. I obviously have a ton of tables set up here. And on each of these tables, you're going to have two different options here on the side. One is for tokens. I'll get into that here in just a little bit. And the other says roll. So if you are setting up a table, and these are all tables straight from the 5e Dungeon Master's guide that I have built in. So let me just kind of show you that here just a little bit. You can click on the table and then you can rename it whatever you want. And then there's a little checkbox here that you can allow your players to roll from the table if you need them to. And that would be great for setting up something like a deck of many things that you want them to roll and them to handle. You could set that up. Or you could also do, like wild magic. So if you wanted to set something up like that, like a fun table for your players to roll from, you could do something like that. For us, this is all Dungeon Master stuff, so I don't really need them to be able to roll from these tables, so I've unchecked it. Then what you want to do is you want to go down here and add an item. Now when you add an item, this little screen will pop up. The first section here is the new item, and it says name. But the name is actually where we're going to be typing all of this stuff in. Now, underneath of that is weight, and I'll explain that here in just a moment. And then finally, underneath of that is an icon or file or an image that you can set for the rollable table. And again, that has more to do with the token side, and I will show you that here closer towards the end. So let's go ahead and delete this new one. And I'm going to click on one that I've already done. So as you can see, the name is all of this information that I have I've entered in here. Okay, so I would enter it right there. And once I've set up my rollable table, you're going to hit Save Changes. And then you can go over here and you can actually roll and randomly pick from all of those things that you've set up. So if I hit this roll button, I'm going to hit it a few times so you guys can see that it's kind of random. So there's that dead magic zone. It rolled again a giant crystal shard protruding from the ground, or even a crystal cave that mystically answers questions. That's a great one. Wow. That's kind of inspiring me here just as I'm doing this video. So it has randomly rolled from this table. Awesome. That's great. How can we use this? You'll notice that these are not whispered. So we're going to look at actually how to whisper these. Now, if you just wanted to roll these again, you could type in /R for /roll, and then this little formula here, 1T, open bracket, the table's name, so in this case it was weird locales, close bracket, and it would roll and look just exactly like this. But this isn't whispered. It looks really, really clunky. Let's clean this up. The first and easiest way to clean that up is going to be with an inline roll. And just like dice, you can use an inline roll on these tables. So let's delete out this /roll and instead try to do an inline roll and add a couple of extra brackets to the beginning, a couple extra brackets at the end, and hit enter. And you can see that it's rolled it again, but it is much smaller and kind of looks very similar to an inline roll for dice. Okay, so if we want to whisper that, we can add the /whisper, and you can actually set this up as a macro. For mine, let me show you guys a little bit on how I've cleaned them up. just like the last video where I've showed you guys how to stack macros inside of macros. And if you haven't checked that video out, go to the playlist, the Roll the Roll20 Master Series playlist, and you can check out that video. It's video number 6, I believe, called Stacking Macros, and I'll show you guys kind of how to do that a little bit. So you can stack the macros, and all of these are calling on rollable tables built into a macro. So, like if I wanted to generate a tavern name very quickly, not a problem. I can do that. Now, all I've done, this is also an inline roll. This is absolutely an inline roll, just like this is. The only difference is down here, I've put it inside of that 5e template. You can use your Pathfinder template or your Star Wars template, whatever game you're playing, or you can always use the default template. Again, check out the last video, and I think I actually have linked all the default template down below in the last video's description. So that is how we use rollable tables. Now, a couple things to note about rollable tables. First, and let me just click on another one here. When you are entering in your information, this is all gonna just be a continued line of text. You can't really format it inside. You can't do line breaks so that you have several lines. You can't do like bulletin points or anything like that. You can't really do most of that stuff. I've even tried playing around with the API button, the command lines to do self-entering, or excuse me, like a break line, and it still won't take it. So you'll want to do everything in one long line and just kind of move on. Don't try to fight the system and try to worry about formatting. Now, the second thing you'll want to know here is this weight. Okay, so this is math here on the weight. If you have a table that you are trying to put into your game, or if you're trying to create one, and you want it to be just a D8 table, there's 8 options, and if I roll a 1, it does this, 2, this, 3, so on and so forth. That's very simple. Leave this weight alone. What weight does is every time you increase the weight, it basically adds another version of that to the pool that it can roll from. So if I had 2 items in a table, and the first one I set the weight to 1, and the second one I set the weight to 9, it would be like giving that on a 2 through 9 or 2 through 10, roll the second one, and only on a 1 roll this one. It's basically a 90% chance or a 10% chance. And that's how weights work. So every time you increase that weight, it basically adds it to the ratio. Now, a good way to think about this is 100%. So if you have, if you're trying to get up to 100%, or you can also do, least common denominator or something like that. So if you have like a really complex table, that's just going to involve more math. I don't want to get into a bunch of the details on that right now, but that is basically what weight does. The higher that number, the more chance it has to being rolled whenever you roll off of the table. A little confusing. So let me cancel out of this. And that is the text version of rollable tables. Now, let me talk a little bit about the token tables. Let me show you one. I've created one down here. I don't really use the token rollable tables. Some people love them. I don't really have a big use for them, but maybe you guys can have a better use than what I've come up with. So let me show you at least what they do and how to set them up. So on this bookshelf here, you can see it has a few of these different bookshelves. And so you can go over here to add an item, and instead of putting something here in the name, you can just leave it alone. See, all these say new item. And instead you can add a file. Now you can also go over here to your art library and pull something up this way. So if you wanted to, pull another bookshelf over, okay, and just hit save changes, and now that's been added to the table. Save changes. Now, when I go back over here to the bookshelf, what I can do is hit this little token button, and you'll notice the image pops right out onto the field. When you do this token roll, the image will always come out as a drawing. It won't actually come out as a token with the 3 bubbles and all that. So just a heads up on that. Now, what you can do is you can right-click this, go down here to multi-sided, and you can either randomize it again, or what I like to do if I were to use this system for building my maps, you can hit choose a side, and you can go over here and choose a different image, just like that. So if you were setting up a bunch of desks or anything like that to populate the map, or altars, or if you wanted to do a bunch of sleeping people to populate a camp, or trees, you could play around with creating images like that very quickly, so that you can just pop stuff out onto the field and randomize it super fast. So that is basically how the tokens work and how the rollable tables work. Okay, so let's talk about why you should use rollable tables in your games. In my opinion, rollable tables really help me focus more on what's going on inside the game. I'm really big on using theater of the mind and keeping players engaged, and when I try to do fun voices, and I find that if I'm too busy trying to go back and snag a book and flip through the pages to find a table that I need and then roll dice off of that, it just kind of bogs the game down, and I kind of lose my momentum. So I really enjoy using rollable tables in my game to keep things moving, keep players engaged, which I think is really, really important. But I love rollable tables. I use them. I definitely think you guys should use them as well. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys learned something new and something cool. In the next video, I'm going to show you guys how to take basically the last 2 videos that we've gone over in this series, stacking macros and rollable tables. We're going to put them together. I'm going to show you guys how to button it up, make it look nice and clean so that you guys can implement this stuff in your games. If this is your first time here and you love role-playing games as much as I do, I'd love to have you subscribe. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment below or reach out to me on Twitter. I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can, as long as I know the answers. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Cody, and may your games be filled with awesome memories and even better friends. I'll catch you guys next time. 1, 2, 3. You gotta say it.
Thanks for watching. Be subscribed.
Okay, buddy. All right, kiddo. I love you.